Twitter getting hammered in today's session. The social media stock has now lost all of its gains since Elon Musk announced his 9% stake back in early April.
And Elon Musk could be in some hot water. Late last Friday, the Tesla founder tweeted about his plans to conduct his own research to determine the amount of Twitter users that are actually bots.
Something doesn't add up here. Claim that number of real, unique humans that you see making comments on a daily basis on Twitter is above 95%. That is what they're claiming. Does anyone have that experience? Exactly. Really? Listen, there's a bridge I'd like to sell you. There you go. and also you can buy the Brooklyn Bridge.
In this video, drama, drama, drama. Tesla stock gets crushed, Twitter stock gets crushed. Elon Musk takes a public dump on the face of Twitter's current CEO on Twitter, and a damning new video has surfaced, the legitimacy of which I still have yet to verify. But should this be legitimate? It appears to show a senior Twitter engineer describing the company's extreme left-wing bias, political censorship, and of course, how the current snowflakes within Twitter are handling the idea that the big bad evil billionaire Elon Musk may soon be running the company. Strap yourselves in, this is going to be fun. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store, so check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. Well, another day of wild swings in the stock market. Tesla stock getting crushed down almost 6%. Surprise. Let me know in the comments below if you bought the dip. Twitter stock getting absolutely destroyed, down over 8%. How much of this is to do with the macro environment, e.g. the entire stock market, versus what's happening now with Twitter's acquisition by Elon Musk? Well, hard to know for sure, but I can say one thing with a relatively high level of confidence. In the next few weeks and months, I think both Tesla and Twitter stock will remain relatively volatile, in my opinion. And now, Elon Musk takes a dump on the CEO of Twitter on Twitter. Really, Elon Musk, a single emoji reply to a gigantic tweet storm from Twitter's current, I want to underscore current CEO, Parag Agrawal. Now, I'm going to save you guys and girls the time here. Link in description if you want to read the full tweet thread. But some real quick highlights here. Parag, out of the blue, unprompted, posts this gigantic tweet thread without actually numbering the tweets, which is kind of a strange thing to do for the CEO of Twitter, to not use the function to make sure that all of these tweets put together in sequence and nothing's taken out of context. That's the whole reason why Twitter allows you to make tweet threads. You put a 1 on the first tweet, a 2 on the second, 3 on the third, it'll realize, oh, these are all together. Let's show them all together and make sure people understand the full context. So, I mean, is it just me, or should the CEO of Twitter probably, 1, know how to do that, and B, do that for a tweet thread? That's the whole reason it exists, right? Anyway, let's talk about spam, and let's do so with the benefit of data, facts, and context. Follow the science, the data, the facts. Now, by the way, data, facts, and context are very important, but I've got a funny feeling we need to start with that. Not a great leading statement. First, let me state the obvious. Spam sucks. Yeah, cool, whatever, Parag. We all get that. We know that. Next, spam is not just binary, e.g. human, not binary. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, cool. Yep, some bots, some humans, spam. Cool, we know that. Let's move on. Some final context. Fighting spam is incredibly dynamic. The adversaries, their goals, and tactics evolve constantly, often in response to our work. No shit, Sherlock. You can't build a set of rules to detect spam today and hope they will still work tomorrow. They will not. No fucking shit, Parag. We suspend over 500,000 spam accounts every day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, cool, great. Good start, but that obviously means that you're not suspending about 4 trillion of them because we still see them. I think what Parag is saying here is, it's so hard. There's just, you don't understand how hard it is. It's not our fault. We're trying so hard. More on Twitter employees trying hard later, but it just feels like an excuse here. There's 2 types of mindsets. There's people who find an excuse and people who find a way. It appears like the culture from the very top of Twitter is more interested in finding an excuse. It's not our fault. So many keep popping up. We can't do anything about it. Rather than finding a way. Anyway, let's continue. Our team updates system and rules constantly, yet we know, good, great. We know we aren't perfect at catching spam. No shit, Sherlock. And so this is why, after all the spam removal I talked about above, we know some still slip through. We measure this internally, and every quarter we have, by the way, notice the legalese here, and every quarter we have estimated that less than 5% of reported monetizable daily active users for the quarter are spam accounts. Our estimate is based upon multiple human reviews in Replicate of thousands of accounts. Great, good. Well, at least you're sampling more than 3 accounts. Well done, Parag. Each human review is based on Twitter rules that define spam and platform more manipulation. Great, cool. They use some public and private data. Obviously, Twitter's going to do a better job at estimating what a bot is if they have access to more data and everything else is equal. But this thing here, the cranium of the average Twitter employee, I actually believe that it's possible that some outside sources who don't even have access to the full suite of data available to Twitter themselves may be doing a better job at estimating the current number of bot, aka non-human users versus human users. My personal experience, obviously it's anecdotal, just a single person, but my personal experience is that far more than 5% of the daily activity, at least on Twitter, replies, tweets, and so on, ain't human. Again, notice the legalese. Our actual internal estimates for the last 4 quarters, he's not making an absolute statement. He's not saying less than 5% of users in XYZ quarter were confirmed as bots. He's not saying we know. He's saying our internal estimates, which could be completely wrong, and this is the whole point. We're all well under 5% based on the methodology outlined above. Again, look, get out of jail card. Based on the methodology outlined above. Not we're certain, or we have an extremely high level of confidence. No. Our internal estimates for the last few quarters, based on our methodology above, blah, 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 blah. And now, here's the big one. Unfortunately, we don't believe that this specific estimation can be performed externally, given the critical need to use both public and private information, which we can't share. Now, by the way, at a high level, this is a fair point. If Twitter has access to more data, in theory, they should be able to make a better determination, but it seems that reality and what Twitter is determining based on their superior informational advantage about bots, there seems to be an irreconcilable gap here. Something just doesn't add up. Externally, it's not even possible to know which accounts are counted as monthly daily active users on any given day. And Elon Musk summing it up perfect. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the way that I interpret this emoji is this entire thread, what a load of shit. And I completely agree. I'm now going to share a fresh clip of Elon Musk sharing his thoughts on Twitter, the bot issue, and his personal experience with the All-In besties at the All-In Summit in Miami.
What's new in your world?
Well, let's see. I guess right now I'm sort of debating the number of bots on Twitter with Parag on Twitter, and currently, I'd like what I'm being told is that there's just no way to know the number of bots. It's like as unknowable as the human soul, basically.
So
you have no idea what level of witchcraft and alchemy is needed.
I just want to quickly interject here to make sure that everybody understands that while Elon Musk is being funny, the delivery of this is amusing. There's a very serious undertone. The connotation here, the context, is that it's truly absurd, absolutely fucking ridiculous for the clowns at Twitter to be saying, oh, well, we can't really know for sure. We're doing our best to estimate, blah, blah, blah. What a load of horse shit. Elon's response is quite humorously packaged, but there's a very serious undertone here. Twitter clearly, at least in my opinion, aren't doing even close to enough to ensure the accuracy of their own estimates of how many users are bots versus human. Elon Musk is pointing out the absurdity of this. What level of alchemy or witchcraft is required to figure this very simple thing out, you fucking morons? Let's continue.
To determine this bot percentage.
have you determined?
I said, like, why not try calling people? But I haven't got a response. You know, like, so if you tried calling people or something, you know, like maybe try that.
Answer? It's not a bot?
No, I don't know. But I think like that would be one of the things to do, to say, like, have you tried calling them, as opposed to like trying to read the tea leaves here? That's like impossible, you know. Obviously, you can have an account that looks exactly like a human account, or is being operated where one person is operating 1,000 accounts or something, but that person can only buy one toaster. They're not going to buy 1,000 toasters. So you care about like number of unique, real people that are on the system. It's extremely fundamental. And anyone who uses Twitter is well aware that the comment threads are full of spam, scam, and just a lot of fake accounts. So it seems beyond reasonable for Twitter to claim that the number of said another way, the number of real unique humans that you see making comments on a daily basis on Twitter is above 95%. That is what they're claiming. Does anyone have that experience? Exactly.
I mean,
really? Listen, like, there's a bridge I'd like to sell you. There you go. and also you can buy the Brooklyn Bridge.
What do you think it is?
what's the
If it's not 5%, what is it?
I think it's some number that is probably at least 4 or 5 times that number. I'd say if you did sort of the lowest estimate would be probably 20%. And And this is a bunch of quite smart outside firms have done analysis of Twitter and looked at the sort of daily users, and their conclusion is also about 20%. But that's a lower bound. It's not an upper bound. If you look at, say, the most liked tweets on Twitter, so I have the honor of having the most liked tweet of any living human. This is thank you everyone for liking my tweet, including you, some of the bots out there. But that tweet is less than 5 million likes. It's like 4.7 or something like that. And that was where I tweeted about that next time buying Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in. Which, it's clearly something that the public really wants. And, Coca-Cola Corporation should really think about going back to their roots. Some OG Coca-Cola. This, I guess, is the reason why our grandparents could sort of walk 20 miles in the snow. Because they had Coca-Cola with cocaine. This is the real reason.
I just want to take a moment here to appreciate Elon Musk. We share a similar sense of humor, dumb, childish, inappropriate jokes, because they're funny. What other CEO of any company on earth, let alone a $1 billion, decabillion-dollar, centabillion-dollar, or trillion-dollar company, what other CEO on the planet would make a fun, silly joke like this, knowing full well that a small minority of the people who hear this, who are suffering from brain damage, emotional damage, a combination thereof, mental illness, or some other challenges, will lose their absolute fucking minds. Elon Musk says everyone should do cocaine. Obviously, that's the new headline. But seriously, I do want to appreciate this guy. I have an incredibly high level of disdain for almost every other CEO on the planet because they will not reveal their true personalities, their true thoughts or feelings. Now, most investors will say, Stephen, their job is just to run the company. And I would say, yes, but there's a whole other level just in terms of being a human. And in order to deserve my respect, to earn my respect, I need to respect you. And I don't respect people who shapeshift and conform to a certain template because they believe that's what they need to do. And by doing so, stifle, obscure, hide, or even change their personality. Elon has courage to make a few dumb, silly jokes and have a laugh and enjoy life. I can't think of a single other CEO, at least at this level, not even close to it. It's having as much fun and being as much themselves as Elon Musk. Mad respect. And I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that my belief, in order to deserve my respect, well, you need to be respectable, and pretending to be something or someone you're not, unwilling to say certain opinions and share ideas that are very important to you, I just see you as a spineless, pathetic piece of shit. However, that is just my belief. And from a business point of view, I think most companies, most investors would much prefer the CEOs of their companies to just conform, get along, not ruffle any feathers. So I understand the argument. I totally get it. It's just I'll never respect people who are like that, even if it is in the best interest of their companies. I just can't respect somebody who doesn't respect themselves, and I don't think anyone who respects themselves will do anything other than be true to themselves 100% of the time.
Anyway, that is literally the most popular tweet of any living human. But Twitter says that the sort of monetizable daily active users is 217 million. So why would it be that the most popular tweet ever basically is only 2.5% of the entire user base? This seems a very, very low number. And the most popular tweets generally are clustered around that sort of 4 million like level. So it's sort of call it like basically 2% or less than 2% of the daily active users. And technically monetizable daily active users is how Twitter refers to it. So it just seems, how is this possible? Surely there's something that maybe 10% of people would like, not merely 2%.
Well, actually, if you think about it, Elon, there's a corollary on YouTube. What's the total user base of YouTube, and what have the most popular videos gotten there?
Yes.
And I think there's 1 billion or 2, maybe 1 billion people using YouTube, and the most popular videos have tens of billions of views.
Yes.
So that might be instructive.
Exactly. That ratio makes a lot more sense. So there's something that doesn't add up here.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And my concern is not that, is it 5 or 7 or 8%, but is it potentially 80% or 90% bots?
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, I certainly know there's some real people on Twitter, but is it an order of magnitude Is it 50% instead of 5%? And that's obviously an incredibly material number, especially since Twitter relies primarily on brand advertising as opposed to specific click-through advertising where you make a purchase. If you make a purchase, it doesn't really matter that much. But for brand advertising, which is really just awareness advertising, it matters if real humans are seeing that or not.
Bingo, this is the entire point. This is exactly why Elon Musk is now publicly putting this Twitter deal on hold and going, hang on a minute, let's make sure the figures that you guys and girls have repeatedly stated quarter after quarter that bots represent less than 5% of daily monetizable active users. Because if not, every number in this deal completely changes. My plan to increase revenue to this, that, and the other was based on the fact that 95% of the users were actual human beings. Of course, at this point in time, it seems almost certain that this deal either doesn't happen, low odds, I'm given that maybe 5% chance, or more likely gets repriced heavily to the downside based on evidence that bots represent a much higher number than 5% of Twitter's active users. Of course, we don't know yet, but if Elon and his team can prove beyond reasonable doubt that bots represent a meaningfully higher number of the users daily on Twitter, big fucking problems. Now think about this. Even the difference between 5% bots and 6% bots, that increase is 20% higher than their estimated figure. If it's 7%, not 5, we're 40% higher. Get it? 8%, 60% higher, 10%. It's double what they thought. This is critical to monetizing. This is critical to making the company profitable. This is critical to Elon Musk executing on his plan. Stay tuned for more. Now, before we get to the extremely damning footage that allegedly shows a senior Twitter engineer exposing the company's left-leaning bias, the censorship, the hate of the political right, and so on, please stay tuned for that. Let's look at some of the discussions in the mainstream finance media about Elon's proposed acquisition of Twitter, the issue of bots, and see if they make any sense or, as usual, don't know what the f*** they're talking about.
Okay, Elon Musk's Twitter saga continues today after claiming Twitter's legal team accused him of violating a non-disclosure agreement when tweeting about the company's automated users review process. This is just the latest in a string of controversies surrounding Musk's potential buyout of the social media platform. Joining us now to discuss is Jefferies analyst Brent Thill. Brent, always good to see you. Really enjoyed your note out on this. You mentioned in that note, Brent, that Musk might be trying to negotiate a lower price for Twitter. So my question to you is, inside of this bear market in tech, what is fair value for Twitter?
Yeah, I think right now the whole tech market's in a massive sell-off. And when he struck this transaction, obviously we saw signs of weakness for the tape, but ultimately no one believed it would get as bad as it's gotten. So right now we're seeing, stocks trade, at single-digit multiples on EBITDA and low double digits on earnings, which is kind of unheard of that we've seen in the last decade for tech. I think many have said, the downside for Twitter effectively, could be in the low 30s if this fell through. And clearly, we believe he's just trying to negotiate a lower price. There's been all kinds of public filings that have said that the bots are less than 5% of users. That's in the filings. And so I don't know what the controversy is there.
Now, don't want to be too condescending here, but did this guy forget to turn his brain on? I mean, he's appearing in Yahoo Finance. He's discussing the Twitter acquisition. You'd hope he'd done his homework. Clearly, he has not. Or maybe he's just high. Not that that should stop anyone from making sense. Anyway, the point isn't that Twitter publicly discloses their estimates for how many users are bots every quarter. We already know that. The point is, there seems to be extremely strong anecdotal evidence from practically every user on the platform that directly contradicts Twitter's publicly stated figures. So Elon is putting the deal on hold to make sure that what Twitter said is accurate. That's what's happening. Yes, this gives Elon an opportunity to negotiate price, but this isn't why he's looking into the bot issue so heavily right now. He just wants to make sure he's getting what he's paying for. The due diligence was based on Twitter's publicly stated figures, and if they turn out to be false, everything about the deal changes.
The only way you could spin this is that he's trying to renegotiate a lower price based on what's happened to the overall tech market. Our belief is we're not done with the pressure on tech. We still think there's downside relative to historic multiples. And so, again, I think what we've seen is just pretty violent moves on the up and violent moves on the down. And even while we all think if he walked away, it would go to the low 30s, in this tape, I wouldn't rule out anything because we've seen everything overshoot, even on the down relative to what we consider more bearish levels. So really unclear. And again, I think we've never really seen a situation like this where a takeover candidate is publicly commenting on data. So it's just been a roller coaster. Obviously, many investors are at this point viewing it as uninvestable at this point, given feels like he's ready to walk away.
On that note, great quote here. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. This applies to everything from business to relationships. Elon is willing to walk away. He has all the power in this situation. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the negotiating table. If Elon walks, Twitter stock almost certainly crashes multi-double-digit percentages and struggles to recover from there.
And Brent, it's Julie here. Given what you're saying and given the stock action that we've seen, is 54.20 overpaying for Twitter?
I think at this point, given what's happened to the tape, the multiple, we don't think the multiple is outrageous relative to historic M&A in tech. But given what's happened in the short term with the tech market, I think ultimately many would say yes. Now, if he can prove that, that this internal review of the users is actually, there's a higher bot count, then perhaps he could say, well, I'm coming back to the table and renegotiating, down, $10, whatever the numbers. I'm making the number up. But the point is, I think ultimately valuations have all gone lower and we continue to be in the slide. So 54.20 is probably, again, the higher end at this point. I think many of us thought when the deal was going through that we'd see somewhere, in the high 50s. So I think everyone's kind of bracketed the transaction, somewhere between the high 50s to low 30s. And again, it really depends on the shape of the curve of their overall business, of the overall market and the tape. And the tape has gotten violently negative since this happened. And so it's not a shocker to see, him trying to walk things down. Again, he says he's committed, but clearly when you have public filings, then all you have to do is do a quick search. You can find the bot statement inside their filings. They've commented it's less than 5%. So I don't understand why you would put it on hold for that.
I just can't even, again, I don't want to be a dick. Maybe this guy got a call last minute. Hey, come on, Yahoo, we've got to talk about Elon Musk on Twitter. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I guess I'll come on. No more. I'm done with that guy.
Check out Twitter getting hammered in today's session. The social media stock has now lost all of its gains since Elon Musk announced his 9% stake back in early April. The latest leg lower comes amid more drama between Musk and Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal, the two sharing vastly different views over how many bots are on the platform. So does anyone know how to calculate the numbers? And how can the company be valued if there's such a big question over it? For some answers, let's bring in Leap managing partner Gene Munster. Gene. All right, so here's the question. Parag says substantially below 5%. Musk says 20%. Where do you stand? 5%, by the way, is what the company has provided the SEC in many, many filings over many, many quarters.
Credit where it's due here. Melissa Lee, the anchor on CNBC, gets it. Note, this is the statement that Twitter has repeatedly provided in the past to the Securities and Exchange Commission. In other words, if Elon and his team can provide credible evidence that these were inaccurate, and to the downside, what are the odds that the big bad SEC is going to bend Twitter over and, let's move on?
Melissa, my answer is 5%. Put some context around this. The central question is, do you trust management? The central question is not, can you estimate the number of bots? Estimate the number of bots. Elon is correct that you cannot accurately report the number of bots. That is true. It is impossible. But it is possible to get an estimation based on internal and external data. And so to answer your question, what it comes down to, is it 5 or is it 20%? Who do I trust in this case? I trust Twitter. And the reason I think that there is a powerful advantage for Elon to stoke up the bot number to get a better price.
So here's the question for me, Gene, at least, and if it's below 5% versus 20%, does that change how much does that change the valuation of Twitter in your view?
Well, I think you can call it 15% off the valuation if you take the 20% number. And Elon said that it's 20% or greater. And so in this case, so to answer your question, that is, if the number was 20%, somehow that was the case, that Twitter's been lying about this and the number is actually 20%, then you take whatever the market feels the value is, and then you subtract 15% to answer your question. I think that ultimately, again, I think that this is a very astute play by Elon to essentially renegotiate this in the public markets.
Let's say it doesn't get renegotiated, he walks away. What happens at Twitter? I mean, no white knights emerge, so does it just sort of languish?
It languishes in a very bad spot. I think that this is probably $30 less per share. I think that ultimately Elon's going to come back and, just excuse the silliness of this, but probably at a $42 bid on this.
I actually completely agree with Munster on this. I expect, obviously I don't know for sure, but I expect, as I tweeted, 5 days ago, $42.69 funding secured. I reckon this is probably the new price. Of course, don't know, but it'd be funny, and given the numbers, it's actually probably roughly in the ballpark of where things should come back. Let me know in the comments below. What stock price do you think this deal will be renegotiated at, if at all?
And whether or not that gets done at 42, the investors better take it at 42 because it will languish. I think what Elon has done is injected a sense of just lack of strength from Twitter management here. I think that investors would be spooked if he went away.
Gene, thank you. Always good to see you. Gene Munster, Loop Ventures. Dan, I know you have a lot to say about this.
Well, no,
Oh no, here we go. It's Dan, everyone's favorite. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you'll probably have seen me roasting this guy a few times. Dummy spits, just absolute tantrums. I don't know what it is, but something about Elon Musk and how well Tesla stock does and has done seems to, for whatever reason, just rub Dan the wrong way. Of course, maybe he'll have changed his tune by now, but I got a funny feeling, probably not. Let's find out.
Gene just used the term astute. He's a big Tesla bull, and he's been right for a while. And I just think if I'm a Tesla shareholder and I see the way he's interacting with another publicly traded company and really kind of thumbing his, against, like disclosures and all this sort of stuff, and publicly trying to do this after he had all the opportunity in the world. He was in discussions with the board to kind of talk about some of these things. I don't know if it's astute. I think there's probably another word. If we wanted to pull a Scrabble bag out and try to figure out what it is, it just seems unsavory to me. So that's my 2 cents.
You know what? I actually think that Dan was speaking the truth there. Everything Elon and Tesla do to him appears to be unsavory.
Twitter shares on the move once again this morning, and Elon Musk could be in some hot water. Late last Friday, the Tesla founder tweeted about his plans to conduct his own research to determine the amount of Twitter users that are actually bots, tweeting that his team will do a random sample of 100 followers of Twitter and invited others to do the same. Then on Saturday, Musk tweeted that Twitter legal just called to complain that I violated their non-disclosure agreement by revealing the bots check sample size as 100, because in that whole back and forth, he said the reason he was using that is it's because that's what Twitter used to get some of these numbers. Anyway, for more on the Twitter takeover twists and turns, let's bring in Jay Clayton. He's former chairman of the SEC. What's the problem with him tweeting this stuff out without doing a filing to the SEC? You could say it's a public commentary area. All of this is there. But do you think there needs to be the SEC filings that go along before you make any public comment on this?
Well, that is always a judgment as to whether a disclosure that you're making rises to the level where it should be included in the company side on some type of Form 8K. That's the technical term for the company making filing that's subject to liability under the Exchange Act, or with a potential buyer, in this case, on their Schedule 13.
All right.
That is the judgment that you typically make.
Let's cut to the chase. The stock was down 25% on one tweet. A little bit later, it was up and only down 10% on a second tweet that went there. The reality is people are losing money if they're following these tweets and going along with it. The SEC is supposedly investigating some of these things, but they haven't done anything yet. And that's led a lot of people to say the SEC is just toothless here. There are investors who are betting on this, making bets or making trades based on this. They're losing money as a result. Is there something that needs to be done, and how quickly would that be done?
Now, I do take issue with the terminology investors being used to describe people who are gambling on the short-term outcomes of this potential deal. If you're going to take on that insane risk of betting on a transaction taking place or falling through before it has taken place or fallen through, and you're expecting to make extremely large short-term profits, you're in the stocks casino. You can lose. I really just can't mentally classify people who are gambling on these short-term potential events like this as investors. It's trading, it's gambling, and that's totally fine if you're good at doing that, which makes you about the 0.01%, then great, congratulations. But the idea that investors are being harmed by this is just ludicrous to me. This is like going into a casino and complaining that they have games in which people can lose money. You don't always win. Now, as promised, the footage that appears, and I want to be really clear here, appears to show a senior Twitter engineer sharing some thoughts about the culture within the company and the company's political bias. Now, I want to be real clear, okay? I'm very skeptical about this video. I'm very skeptical about the source. This is something that I could have put together, a little bit of a skit in the span of half a day, posted online, subtitled, and people go, oh yeah, that's real too. I'm giving this maybe about a 50% probability of being legitimate, but I did want to share this with that important context out of the way. If this turns out to be fake or deceptively edited, I would not at all be surprised. On the flip side, I'd be equally unsurprised if it turns out to be true. and legitimate. If anyone watching knows people currently working at Twitter, ask them the same kind of questions. You might find that they have the same kind of answers, whether or not this is legit or otherwise. So please take this with a Mount Everest-sized grain of salt. With that said, let's watch what this alleged Twitter engineer has to say. And by the way, if later it turns out that this is fake, I'm actually going to just delete this entire part of the video because I don't want to be spreading misinformation. But until then, let's roll the tape.
Twitter does not ruin free speech.
What do you
Elon
mean?
doing this free speech. Capitalists, if we weren't really operating in a capitalist mode, we were very socialist. Like we're all like commie as ideologically, it does not make sense, like because we're actually censoring the right, not the left. Because everyone on the right wing will be like, bro, it's okay to say, just gotta tolerate it. The left will be like, no, I'm not gonna tolerate it. I need it censored, or else I'm not gonna be on the platform. So it does serve the right. It's true. There is a bias.
But I don't know if the two parties can truly coexist on one platform.
What do your colleagues say about it? Like,
they hate it. Oh my god, I'm at least like okay with it, but some of my colleagues are like super left.
What do they say?
They're like, this will be my last day if it happens. So,
has much changed since like Elon's coming out?
a lot of change. A lot has changed. We're all like worried for our jobs.
Why are you guys so worried though?
You know, our jobs are at stake. He's like,
I still think I think it's just like the environment. Like you're there, you become like calm.
We did all we could to like revolt against it. A lot of employees revolted against it. But at the end of the day, board of directors have a say, and then they acted on their best interest because they didn't want to get sued. I basically went and worked like 4 hours a week last quarter. That's just how it works in our company.
Yeah. How would you describe communism besides Twitter?
Essentially, like everyone gets to do whatever they want. No one really cares about like OpEx. Like capitalists will care about numbers, but care about like how to make the business more efficient. But in Twitter, it's like mental health is everything. Like if you're not feeling it, you can take a few days off. People take months off, they'll come back, but you always like do your best at any time, and that's the culture. And you know, we'll run the business as much as possible. Capitalists would be like, you gotta generate profits or you're out. A lot of people wouldn't survive that.
Now, as I mentioned, I won't be surprised if this turns out to be fake, and I'll be equally unsurprised if it turns out to be real. Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys have any way of verifying if this is legitimate or otherwise? What's your gut feel? Is this real or fake? Now, for the record, I have done some cursory digging here to try to verify, does this guy even work for Twitter? Is that even true? I don't know for sure. Done a little bit of digging, I'm not all the way there, but I will just share a little bit of information. Of course, all of this could be wrong, but it appears that Siru's full name is actually Sirushti. A quick Google search seems to indicate that Sirushti here is a software engineer, at least somebody with that name. Again, I'm not going to dig through this too deeply, but it also appears that an account linked to somebody with that exact full name no longer exists. Is it possible that this has leaked and he's gonna fucking next minute account deleted? I don't know. Again, this could all be false. I don't know for sure. I want to make sure everyone understands this. But there is an account that no longer exists on Twitter. I don't know when this account was deleted. But if I had been filmed... Oh, by the way, I have some serious ethical and moral objections to filming somebody without their consent and then leaking the video. Like, what the fuck, dude? That is just fucked up. Company, whatever the people that leaked this, you guys are fucked up. I understand you're trying to do good for the world, but this just doesn't sit right with me. That being said, had I been a senior engineer at Twitter and had I been unethically recorded in private on a conversation with an undercover journalist, I just does not sit right with me. And this stuff became public, I certainly would probably be deactivating my account as well. And one final thought before I shamelessly plug my Patreon page. In fact, you know what? Why don't I shamelessly plug my Patreon now? Card in corner, link in the description. Loads of videos, perks, price targets. You should be there. I mean, if you're not, don't know what you're doing with your life. So, regarding yesterday's video, the Butthurt Brigade, the human projectors, just a really quick update. After some obnoxious dickhead on YouTube with 3 first names absolutely barbecued these clowns, miraculously, the extremely deceptive, dishonest, hysterical clickbait title of the video featured yesterday, suggesting that Elon Musk was thirsting for violence on Twitter, has suddenly changed to another false inaccurate, deceptive, misleading title, but at least one that isn't quite so far out there. So here we are, the new title of this video. Elon Musk gets caught lying about Twitter, also false, and none of this is actually discussed in the video whatsoever. And of course, more slander from people who don't think, for people who don't watch, listen, read, or pay attention, and just instead read headlines and thumbnail titles, which is why I take such issue with this. Now, by the way, just finally, I want to point out to everybody watching, just in case you're unaware, I'm always playing 4D chess. What am I talking about? When I recorded yesterday's video, as you'll see on screen now, I made absolutely sure that I caught the title, the then title of the video, in my video, because I had a funny feeling at some point after calling out the insane hypocrisy, the deception, the lies, the misinformation, the painful amounts of irony in this video, there was a possibility that maybe these folks might rethink their incredibly deceptive and dishonest titling, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But please note, on screen now, we can see not only did I make sure that I caught the browser tab showing the actual title there, which is something I can't fuck around with the inspector, but also the actual title of the video there. I consciously made this decision. Had I just watched the video on full screen, you wouldn't see the title, the original title, and people go, what are you talking about, man? You made it up. Never happened. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just keep in mind I'm usually a few steps ahead or more. Arrogant, obnoxious, but also accurate. And lastly, if you didn't hear the plug for Patreon a minute or two ago, well, here's another one. Check out the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to join Patreon. I get to share plenty of thoughts and opinions, plus ideas that I'm literally not allowed to discuss here on YouTube. I wish I wasn't joking. You'll gain access to those, over 100 videos, loads of other content and perks, and of course, up-to-date access to my Tesla price targets out over the next 10 years. So, I'll see you over there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.